Today, we're going to be covering 5 features to learn ahead of busy season. We just want to make sure you guys are aware of all the features available to you and the things that are going to help speed up your process in CompanyCam. For our agenda today, we are going to start talking about AI tools using the AI walkthrough and then some of the other AI features with creating pages in CompanyCam. We're going to jump into templates to help speed up your process for your team, just with standardizing checklists, pages, reports, and then using those in a project template. We're going to touch on some of our marketing portfolio when it comes to showcasing your projects outside of CompanyCam. We'll go into reviews and how you can request reviews from your customers through CompanyCam. And then finally, we're going to touch on payments and how you can request payments through CompanyCam on web and on mobile there. We will go ahead and get started here. We're going to switch over to the mobile app to get started. So in the mobile app, when you get logged in, just like normal, everything in CompanyCam is organized by that project. When you want to use our AI walkthrough note, you've got 2 ways of doing that. You can either select the project to start, or if you hit the little 3-star icon at the bottom right next to that camera button, this is going to be the AI walkthrough note. You select that. You will then select the project it's tied to. So no matter what, you're tying that to a specific project, so it's easier to find down the road. The other way to do that would be going in and selecting your project first. We'll select our project here and then hit that little 3-star icon. And then you've got that option for walkthrough note. I am going to do a walkthrough note to show you what this looks like, but I just want to say a couple things before we get started. It is photo capture while you are talking the whole time. It's using AI to summarize what you are saying and then taking those photos and organizing them into sections for you. Big thing to note here is you want to be as descriptive as possible as you're using this walkthrough note, so AI has more to go off of and build this page for you. So I'm going to select walkthrough here, gives you a quick note, and then you hit start walkthrough to get started here. So on today's job, we need to repair this laptop. We're going to need to replace the S key, and the L key needs to be replaced as well. We also need to go in and fix this outlet on the table here, and the speaker in this room has not been working, so we need to check that. I hit that stop button and the top and the right side there. So it's no longer hearing what I am saying. That's going to be really helpful if you're moving from one area of the job to the next, maybe from one room to another, or if you need to have a side conversation while you're doing this. So you can stop it so it is no longer listening to what you're saying. I could still take photos while I'm muted here, and then I can hit resume when I'm ready to get started again. So we'll hit resume here. And when we come back to this job next week, we are going to need to replace this window here. Once the window has been replaced, those shades need to be changed out so they match the shades in the other conference room. And the wood paneling here has some damage, so we want to make sure that gets repaired as well next week. I'm going to hit done in the bottom right. It's going to take just a second to process this. A couple things that I want to point out while it's doing that is this is going to live in the documents section on the project. So when you're in the project, go to documents, and then it's under pages there. You'll see it's ready for us to look at. When I open this up, it has summarized what I had said into bullet points. It has kind of sectioned out the photos based on what I was saying as I took them. Now, one thing I want to note here, it's AI and it's not going to be perfect. It might do a really good job of gathering everything that you said, but there might be another photo that you need to add, or maybe it caught this text wrong. You can always click into this page to make edits as needed. So I can click in and add more notes if I need to. Maybe I want to remove a photo that I took. I can hit that little minus sign in the top corner to remove that photo. You've got some edit tools here just below the keyboard. So if I need to take more photos, add more photos, I can do that as well. A couple other cool things with the walkthrough note. So when I hit those 3 dots in the top right, third option from the bottom there is going to be to view transcript. So if you want to see everything you said word for word, you can see that transcript. You can hit that copy button in the top right there, and you could actually paste that back in if you want, verbatim what you had said while you were taking these notes. When I hit those 3 dots again, a couple other things I want to show you is you can share this outside of your CompanyCam account using that export to PDF or share link option. These would be view only options, so they're not going to be things that folks can go in and make changes on. It's just a share option. Finally, I do want to touch on this briefly here. You have the option to create a checklist from this walkthrough note. So, one thing you might have noticed with what we created is there's a lot of actionable items that we might want the team to go through and work on now. So, if I hit those three dots and I hit that create checklist, it's about halfway down. It would go in and create a checklist from what is in that walkthrough note. It's going to take just a second to build that out. Where that checklist will live is in that same project under to-dos in the checklist tab. So you can see it's building it at the top here. When that is ready to use, I'd be able to click on it and work through that checklist as needed. You could still make edits to that checklist, but this way you're not retyping all of that information on those actionable items that your team needs to work on. Any questions on the AI walkthrough? Okay, awesome. No questions on that right now. So we are going to keep moving here. I do want to touch on a couple of our other AI features under pages here. So when we are in our project and we go to the documents section, under pages, we've got the plus sign at the bottom here. You're going to see that page option. When I click on this, there's a few different options under Generate with AI. The one at the very bottom is that walkthrough note we just covered. But the top three here are the summary, the daily log, and the progress recap. These all use existing photos with descriptions. It will use AI to summarize what's in the descriptions and then give you a page. The biggest difference between these three is the layout between them. Summary is just going to be a paragraph summary with your photos. Your daily log gives you paragraph summary, photos, and then kind of next steps on what needs to get done. Progress recap is going to look a little bit more like that walkthrough note, where you might have some bullet points and photos, another section with bullet points and photos. So this is really helpful if you've already taken the photos and they have descriptions on them. So for an example, I'm going to do a progress recap here. It's going to prompt you to select those photos that have descriptions. If you haven't been seeing that, it's indicated by that three-line icon in the bottom corner of your photo. So I'm going to go through and select a few of these photos. I might not select everything that has descriptions. There might be a few that don't have descriptions, but I'm making sure I'm gathering quite a few with descriptions on them already. So once I've got what I need here, I'm going to select just a few more photos. And once we've got this, we're going to hit generate at the bottom right. It's going to take just a second to pull those photos and that information and build this page for us. Just like the walkthrough note, you're going to be able to make edits to this, but it's going to be an easy way to gather that information in one spot and then share it outside of CompanyCam. So it gave us our project information at the top. It would list any photo takers for those photos we had selected. It gave us a quick summary. And then these are photos from my garden from last summer. So we've got a section on cherry tomatoes and the photos that had been taken, some bullet points there. Peppers in the garden, a section on that, some garden maintenance as well. So this gathered those photos, summaries, and kind of gave us all that information in one spot. Again, we can still make edits, share this out with those three dots in the top right. Another easy way to pull information already in your CompanyCam project. Any questions on those other AI options? Okay, sounds like we're getting everything answered in the Q&A there. So next thing we are going to jump into here is templates in CompanyCam. I'm going to switch over to the web version of CompanyCam briefly. So if you are an admin or manager on your CompanyCam account, you are able to create these templates. These are going to be a really helpful way of standardizing processes for your team. When you're logged in on web, you're going to go to the toolbar on the left side here. It's going to be under resources. We'd go to the templates section. From here, you're going to see your different template libraries. Today, we're going to focus on checklist templates. Just know that you can also create report templates. Your files is going to be if you have like a PDF that you know you want to pull into future projects. Maybe it's a standard document you want everyone to have access to. Files is a good place to store that under templates. And then pages is going to allow you to create a page template similar to the reports where you can go in and create sections for photos and add text. And then your team would be able to kind of fill that out. With the checklist specifically, checklists are going to be really helpful with standardizing processes your team walks through step by step, maybe gathering photos, checking items off, answering questions, just getting all that information on the job site. So if you have maybe a standard inspection report that your team uses day to day, you could build this into checklist templates to speed that process up. When we're in checklist templates, I'm going to hit create in the top right there. You're going to give it a title and then you can add a description here. So we'll change that. And the description is for internal use only. So when the team is grabbing the template that they need, this is a good spot to add any notes. So maybe if you have three different types of inspections, you add some notes there. Below that, you're going to see the option for fields and sections. Sections help you keep things organized in this template. Um, so we can give this, maybe this is before photos specifically. The fields are the items that the team will actually be checking off. So I'm going to create a before section and an after section. The field then, when we add this, you'll be able to add the title, any notes or instructions. You decide if photos are required for this item. It will automatically be turned on, but you can check that off if you'd like to. And then you've got the option to add questions with this field item. So a yes, no question, rating scale from 1 to 5, an open text response, and multiple choice are your options here. As you build this out, you can have as many questions as you need as part of a field item. Just know that your team does need to answer every question in order to check this item off. So for example, we see a lot of folks maybe creating questions here that need to be filled out on customer information to start. They might add a couple text boxes where it's customer name, and then we're going to add a text box on a visit. Um, you can add multiples here, then your team isn't having to answer this question and check an item off. It's more of a one step of fill all of these out and then check that overall item off. So these can be pretty in depth if needed. Um, I'm going to jump into an existing template to give you a little bit more information on what this is going to look like here. Let's see here. I'm going to jump in here. So just a quick example. You've got things like side lawn, photos are required. You've got a space to add notes, and then there's a rating scale and a yes, no question, information on install, maintenance, things like that. So with the templates, you can build out as many checklist templates as you and your team will need. They'll have access to pull anything from that template library. The other nice thing is if you create a checklist template, your team is using it, maybe they want to add something down the road. Once they let you know, you can just go in and edit that template. So if it needs to be updated, you just click into it. You can add more questions or more fields here. Um, if it's something that maybe you actually would prefer to duplicate it to create version 2 of that same thing, you've got a duplicate option in the top right. The other thing I want to point out when you're building these templates is you might have built out a lot of information here and you realize it's in the wrong order. If you hit the 3 dots in the top right, you'll see the option to reorder those sections overall, or you could reorder just the field items if you need to move those around. So don't worry about deleting things completely and then recreating that field. Everything can be reorganized. Just hit those 3 dots there. Any questions on checklist templates so far? Okay, awesome. I'm going to show you how to use a checklist template in the mobile app, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more on the project templates overall, but I want to jump in here. When we are in a project and your team goes to use a checklist template, they jump into the project, go to to-dos. When they hit that plus sign at the bottom here, they've got the option to create a blank checklist, but we're going to recommend, using checklist from template. They would see your template library so they can select what they need here. It'll take just a second to pull into this project and be ready for the team to use, but you see all of those fields have loaded. Now I can select this and begin to work through it. When you work through a checklist in the mobile app, you see that plus sign next to each field item and the camera button. Even if photos are not required, like on this very first item here, I still have the option to hit that plus sign and add existing photos from the project or select the camera button to take new photos. When I go to check these items off, it will show my name and the date and time that those were completed. This one here requires photos. So if we add some photos in, drop a couple photos. Even if I try to check this item off now, it will give me an error message because the questions need to be answered as well. So you want to make sure that you're answering those questions, and then you can check this item off because we've added our required photos and answered our questions here. Any other questions on checklists before we jump into templates? Okay, great. We are going to jump back into the templates here. On the web version, when you're looking at the template libraries, you've got checklists, reports, files, and pages. I want to jump into the project. So your project template contains each of those other items there. You'd want to create your checklist templates that you need, your report templates, those types of things. And then if you have a project template you want to utilize, what you can do here is when you create a project template, you add any labels that you would want added to a project as it's created, any checklists that you want in there from the beginning, report templates, files, and pages. So all of those other ones can be added to this project template. The biggest thing to note with the project template is this is something that gets added when the project itself is created, whether that is being created by the team in CompanyCam. You will have the option to select a project template. If you have an integration in CompanyCam and it is automatically creating these projects for you, if you create a project template, you have the option to set one of these as your default. So you can hit the three dots next to it, set that as the default, and then every project that is created from that integration would utilize that project template. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to pull in different types of project templates when you're linked to an integration. It's always just going to pull that default template. So something to note there if you want to ensure that every project that's being created has these four checklists ready to go, project templates are really helpful with that. I'll show you here on the web version. When we create a project, you'll see that option for new project or use a template there. Even if you select new project, forget to select the template, you have that option here at the bottom for project templates. It pulls in our default option, but I will see a drop down to select a different project template if I need to. Any questions on those project templates? Okay, sounds like we're getting everything answered in the Q&A. So we are going to jump into our next item, which is going to be portfolio and CompanyCam, kind of showing off the projects that your team has worked on, being able to easily share that information out to potential customers or sharing on your website there. So to create your portfolio website, you're going to start by showcasing your project. What this does is you're going to jump into an existing project here. If you have not created a showcase, you're going to see the option to showcase at the top here. If you have it, it's going to say edit showcase. So you can jump in here, give that showcase a name, and you can add a description. Project type and materials used are going to be things that you can add that will be searchable on the gallery that you add to your website there. So these are things that you can add that make this a little bit easier to find. You create the showcase here and select the photos that you want. I'm going to jump back here to see all of the showcases you've created tied to specific projects. When you're on the web version of CompanyCam, under marketing, you're going to go to showcases. I'm going to see that list of showcases here. Anything that is published will be listed here. And then we've also got the drafts option. So I can see if I started creating one but didn't turn published on, I'd see it here. With that, these showcases are being created to be displayed either on your website or they can be created and shared through the overall portfolio site that you can create. Give me just a second here to get my Zoom bar out of the way here. If you do not have a website, this is where the portfolio comes into play and is really helpful for your team. If you don't have a website, but you want to be able to share some photos out, maybe share with potential customers, your sales team wants to send it out to someone. You create those showcases, selecting the photos and adding the information that you want. And then you go to the dashboard. If you're not seeing that specific setting on your end, it would be under, I think it's portfolio. I might say showcases in the sidebar here. But you'd see the portfolio, and at the very top on both of these, you're going to see the option to open this or copy the link. I'm going to open this up so you can see what it looks like. So what this does is this is essentially a small portfolio site that is hosted by CompanyCam. Any of those showcases you created are going to show on the map here. They're also going to show in the sidebar here. You've got different options to find the project types at the very top. I can select the project type and it would show me the projects that have that project type listed. The map is going to be a good option if we're looking at all projects. Folks would be able to zoom in and out. It's going to show everything in that area so they can find a project. Maybe they want to see the work you've done in their neighborhood. They can select that, click on the project here, And then it's only going to show the photos that you have selected. So it's not showing all photos from that project, just the ones you selected in the showcase there. This is a really easy way to share that information out if you guys don't have a website and you still want to share photos outside of CompanyCam. Any questions so far on the portfolio? Okay, perfect. That's everything with the portfolio. If you guys are seeing this slightly different in the toolbar on the side here, do want to let you know we have a marketing suite that's going to be released. Our beta is turned on in this account, so that's why you might be seeing this a little bit different. On your end, if you're not seeing this quite yet, you'd still see that showcase option to be able to go in and create those showcases, see what's live. You can also create from this page, but you'd need to go in and select the project first that you want to showcase. Then you would select the project information and the photos that you want added so it displays on the map when you use that portfolio site. Sorry, it takes just a second to load those photos here. So we've got our showcase ready. We can go in and select photos, whether we want to add photos or remove some of these that it had pulled for us here. And then we'd hit confirm and publish this one. Awesome. Next thing I want to jump into is going to be reviews in CompanyCam. Reviews are going to be really helpful in getting your clients to review the work you've done for them using the photos you've already taken in CompanyCam. So, a couple ways to do this. You can do this from web and mobile. We're going to start in the web version here. If I just finished this project and I wanted to share this with a customer so they can review us on Google, I'm going to jump into that project and hit request review at the top right. If you have multiple Google business accounts, you'd want to get those selected and you'll see a drop down here. So you can select the one that you want to use for them to review, link that review to. If you have maybe one listed, but you have a couple other locations, you've got that add location option. So you can get that added to your list. You can include a message that sends to your client with this so they know, what you're asking for them with the review. You can leave a quick note there. And then you will select the photos that you would like to send to them. It's not going to include all the photos from that project. I can go in and add the photos that I want specifically, either selecting individual photos or a day's worth of photos. Once I've got what I need selected, I'm going to hit confirm. It will show me a preview of those. And then this is customer preview, would show you what your customer is going to see on their side when you send this link. If you don't need that preview, you can hit copy review link and add that in an email or a text message. This is what your client would see when they open that up. They're going to see the photos that you selected, the note you left, and then the link to your Google business account. When they hit review us on Google, it will pull them to your Google business account. But what they will need to do before that is download these photos. We don't have a way to add these photos directly into their review. You can share the photos you want. I recommend having them hit save all. They go in to review us on Google. It pulls up that review page ready for them to go. So I can do that review, add my notes, and then they will need to hit that add photos and videos. They can select the photos that they've downloaded here. So either through their Google Photos or the photos that they've got on their computer, and then they'd be able to post that review. So fairly straightforward. The biggest thing I like to note here is they will need to save these photos and then upload them to that Google review. Any questions on the web version of that?
Not on the web version of that. Could
Okay.
you talk through how you get access to these features? Like, is it a specific tier or where
Yeah,
the different features lie?
great question. So if you are not seeing some of these features, you might not be on this tier of CompanyCam. Reviews is going to be in the elite tier of CompanyCam. So if you are not on elite, if that's something you're interested in learning more about, all of the features included in Elite specifically, reach out to your customer success manager and they could review all of those things with you. But if you're not sure what tier you're on, hit your user icon in the toolbar on the left. If you are an admin or manager on the account, or excuse me, admin on the account, you can go into the billing page here and then you'd be able to see what tier of CompanyCam you're on. But reviews specifically are going to be on that elite tier in CompanyCam. Awesome. You also have the option to request reviews from the mobile app. So we're going to switch over to mobile here. We're in our project. And if I wanted to request a review here, I can hit the menu when I'm in my project, and you'll see the option request review. Now, because I started building this on the web, it's really convenient. It's going to pull those photos that you had already selected. If I need to add more photos or change that note that I had added, I can do that. I can send the link from the mobile app. You'll see that at the bottom right. The other nice thing is if you're with the customer at the time, you want them to just do this right away. On the mobile app, you've got the option for scan QR. So I can display this QR code. They can scan it from their phone and then write that review. So makes it really easy to either share the link with them when you share via mobile app. I'm on an iPhone, so it's pulling up iPhone sharing options. This might look slightly different if you're on an Android device, but it pulls up my contacts. I could text this to, I could copy this, I could start another message with this or send it in an email. So, really easy way to share that out or scanning that QR code. So, any questions on what that looks like in mobile? Okay. Final thing we're going to touch on today is going to be payments in CompanyCam. So think of this as a way of collecting payment from your customer on a job. Um, it can be hard to get payments from folks if you're just using, if they're sending in checks, if you're sending out an invoice waiting for them to send checks. Um, and if you have folks that will they're ready to pay, but they want to pay with a card. They want to pay via, like while you're there on the job. Payments is a great way to do that in CompanyCam. When you are in the mobile app, we'll start there since we're on that screen. When you open the project it's specific to, you're going to see that as your third option here. You've got to-dos, documents, and payments. If we go into payments, you'll see that you can create multiple payments. So maybe it's something that you revisit every month. You go to this specific site to do landscaping maintenance. You want to request a payment each time you're there. You can create a payment every time. Um, it might just be something that has one payment. It's a one-time visit. To create the payment, go to the payments tab and hit that plus sign at the bottom. You're going to do payment request. You're going to type in the total amount that you need here and then give it a memo. We're going to do house inspection. And then you've got your message that you want to add for the customer here. Add a quick note. And then I just clicked out of that text box. If you want to include a cover photo, you have that option to turn it on. You can either save this as a draft or create this payment. So I'm going to hit create. You've got a few options on mobile. So I can either share this link if I want to share this via text message or email. If you are on an iPhone, there's an option for tap to pay. So if I click that option here, they'd be able to use tap to pay with their card to pay you. Now, you might not be seeing this on your end. I know sometimes on iPhones with screen sharing, it would block that out. We're going to jump back here. Let me back out here. Sorry. Okay. So the other option is going to be enter card. Fairly straightforward there. You'd hit that enter card. It's going to pull them into the payments option where they can add that information, or if they hand you their card, you can hold that, add that information. The other thing you'll notice here is if you do the add card or if you share the link with them, they can either use a card or connect to their bank account to get that linked. I'm going to jump back in here to the payment. If it has not been paid, it's going to be listed as outstanding in that project. Once it has been paid, you will see that status change. If you are doing this on the web version of CompanyCam, when you are in the project here again, you're going to go to the payments tab. You'll see that payment we just created. So if I need to share this link again, maybe the customer can't find it, you want to share that again, that share option, it will copy it. You can paste it into an email. To create a new payment, just hit that create button, same as we did in the mobile app, and request payment. If it is the very first time you guys are using payments in CompanyCam before you are even able to request payments, it's going to have you set up with Stripe. Stripe is the third party that we use for payments. It has it connect to your bank account. So when they pay you, it goes through Stripe and then Stripe will transfer that to your bank account. So you want to make sure that you get set up with Stripe to get this started here. Then you'll be able to start requesting payments through web and mobile. Other thing I want to point out here is payments are requested through the project itself, creating them. You can see the specific payments on that project here. You've also got a view in the toolbar on the left here. Under payments, this is kind of your payment feed. So you can see all of the projects you've requested payments on, the status of those, the title of that payment, kind of gives you a breakdown of everything. So you can filter based on status, for instance. You could filter based on the project name. Gives you an easy way to see all the payment requests that are out across all of your projects. So, any questions on payments? Okay, awesome. That is everything we had for you on our agenda for today. These are just features that are going to be really helpful if you get these things set up before the busy season hits. It's going to be really helpful to standardize your process for the team, easily get paid from your customers, get reviews from them, and then those templates are going to be really helpful for your team going out on jobs. They don't have to question what they need photos of. They've got a checklist template they can walk through to make sure they're getting what they need. So, really helpful in standardizing processes and speeding everything up before you guys get really busy this spring and summer. Want to go over our resources if you have additional questions after today's class. You can always chat with our support team, either chat through the mobile app or the web version, or email them at support@companycam.com. During the work week, they respond within 3 minutes. They're really quick to respond. If you have questions and you want to watch training videos, maybe your team is Spanish speaking, we've got some resources for them as well. Our help center is in both English and Spanish. So if you go to help.companycam.com/ES is Spanish/EN is English. There's a ton of help articles that our support team has created with screenshots walking you through things step by step. We also have some training videos in Spanish. These links will be sent to you with the recording of today's class. So keep an eye out for those if those would be helpful for you and your team. You will also get some links to some additional CompanyCam class recordings and our YouTube center, our help center on YouTube there. There's a ton of training videos there. We try to keep those as up to date as possible as things change and update in CompanyCam. So CompanyCam Help Center on YouTube is a great resource for those. If you would like to get signed up for an upcoming class, if you want to see previous class videos we've recorded, a great spot for that is companycam.com/resources/classes. You'll be able to see the library of previous classes we've had and register for upcoming classes here. If you need more of a one-on-one training for you and your team, you want to go over specific questions, dive into things in your account, reach out to your customer success manager. They'd love to book a time to meet with you. If you don't know who that person is, send an email to success@companycam.com. We'll get you introduced to the right person there.